guys, welcome to FBC Family by Choice, where we are helping families navigate life by having real, transparent conversations.
Come on, let's talk about it.
Just don't keep it a buck.
Welcome, y'all.
Keeping it a buck. What's up, y'all?
What it do?
What it do? We're building, man. Constance, I heard we got another amazing topic.
Yeah,
we do. So the topic today, you know, we're walking this parenting life.
Yeah,
in so many different stages. So we want to talk from the parenting perspective.
Okay.
So let's just talk about life before children. And life after children. I know that can go a lot of places, but let's talk about like kind of what you expected. I know I had my vision of what life would be like once I became a parent, but let's just kind of let's hash it out. That's what we talk about, the parenting perspective.
That's major. Life before children, life after children, and what we expected.
Man, that's a loaded one.
That is.
I feel like okay. I feel like what I expected versus what I got was very different.
Okay. How?
Well, one, if you know the story of me and my wife, it's very dynamic. We have a few seasons that we've been through. You know, we were together apart and then together again. But when we came back together, she had a son.
Yes.
And when we decided that we were going to make a move and come back together, like literally, it was like a Tuesday, I was not a father. And then Wednesday, I was a full-blown father.
Right.
So it was definitely not the way I expected to come into parenthood.
Right.
Like, I'm talking about seriously like a car trip.
Yeah.
It was a move.
Wow.
In.
Wow.
Of course, you know, we did, you know, we courted, I guess.
Right.
In the most... We courted.
In them.
And
right.
But
unique way.
Yeah, it was very unique. It was unique. Check old episodes out if you want to hear that story. But I think we probably need to revisit that story. But like literally came in on a Tuesday, brought my stuff into a basement because at that point we was living in your mother's basement, and my son was there. Like he was 3 years old. That's when I came into his life at 3 years old.
Yeah. How did he receive you? Like
well, we had met a few times prior to me actually moving in.
Okay.
But because of course me and his mom's relationship, we go back to when we were 15.
Right.
So we're way further along.
Yeah.
In who we are then.
So it wasn't like your typical you know,
just moving the dude in
kind of thing, you know.
It was like, okay.
Well, it didn't feel like that to us.
Right.
Man, it looked like that on the outside.
Right.
On the outside, like,
he was too young to really
so you know,
conceptualize
the times that we did interact prior to me actually moving in, you know, we were very mindful of one, not overstepping boundaries, respecting his little 3-year-old mind.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's a real thing, you know what I'm saying? But then I also realized that she was raising a little hellion. That little boy was bad. That little boy was bad. He wasn't who he is now.
Oh, KJ.
Was he?
What's crazy?
That little boy was bad.
I was so devastated because the times that he got to see him and spend time with him, he was really not himself. He was not himself.
Let me speak.
He doesn't know what he is. I'm sorry.
Oh my goodness. I'm talking about down to we go to dinner and we go outside of dinner. He kicking the flowers over, like
flowers over. He was standing up on the restaurant, looking over to the people,
poking the other people on the other side.
Like,
I was like, "Oh, who's she raising?"
I said, "Oh gosh,
don't save her. She don't want to be saved."
This is not representative of my son.
Yeah, it was crazy, but no, like so. I would say, what I expected. The picture that I saw coming, that I thought would happen. I thought the picture coming into parenthood would be much different than it actually was.
Yeah.
Because I came in and I came in as a step-up father.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I didn't necessarily think I would ever come in as a step-up father.
Right.
But that was what happened. And I got to sit down with this little boy and get to know him from opposite sides of the couch.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because she was at the studio most of the time. I'm like, yo, I done moved in to babysit.
It was so weird.
This girl always at the studio, and I'm sitting here with his little boy.
It was so weird.
You remember on Baby Boy when the little boy was building the fort?
You kicked the fort over.
Yo, fort.
He doesn't.
But no, so it was definitely different, man.
I would say ours was very similar. Very similar to you guys because Anthony and I knew each other from childhood.
Mm-hmm.
So my image of how I would enter into parenthood definitely was a lot different. I had the perfect image, you know what I'm saying? Grew up in church, so I always knew, I was like, we're gonna get married.
Yeah.
He got it written down,
Yep.
and we're gonna have 2 kids.
A boy and a girl.
A boy and a girl.
Wow.
So that was
Y'all
my
did that.
well,
Right.
We did do
we
it.
did.
Y'all got that. Us too. Go ahead, Pastor.
I wasn't specific, I guess.
So, that part is on me because I had a relationship and I turned a very friendly relationship into a sexual one. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And when I say that, I mean that with all due respect because it's the truth.
Yeah.
sure.
We were like really, really good friends, my baby mama and I. And it just got complicated when sex comes into the
sure.
Yeah.
equation.
That changes everything.
It changes everything. And 2 kids out of it.
So did the sex change it or did the babies change it?
What you mean?
Does sex make things complicated or does the child that resulted from it make it complicated?
Both. Definitely both. Because I was still young and still 100% me. So it's like while I'm still looking at you as a friend, but now it's like a friend with benefits. Matter of fact, we were so much as friends, we called each other cousins. Like I would beat up dudes that was like messing with her. You know what I'm saying? Like that's my little baby cousin type deal. My mom had kicked me out the house, so I ended up over there with her and her family. They took me in, they embraced me. Her mom, Juanita Pugh, man, let me in, and she was just a very nurturing, accepting woman who let me stay there rent free. I think I stayed there for about 5 to 6 months.
That's a long time.
It's a long time.
Wow.
And
Very long time.
but in that time,
Of course. What happened?
Cousin started kissing.
right?
Kiss you.
I'm like, I'm from Garbage Road. So like, we might well find out, cuz.
Might well see what's up.
And we shouldn't have did that. But it was when you're young, you're impulsive and you don't really think.
Hormones are going.
Hormones are going, but I think now the generation,
not at all.
it's like we wasn't thinking, but now this generation overthinks. To the point where there's no movement.
Yeah.
You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, just a little something that stands out to me. But yeah, we never should have complicated it. We did. And I brought 2 more.
So in that picture, okay, so you brought 2 more in from kissing cousins.
From it started off kissing and then it turned into 2 kids.
Yeah.
Which is a lot. So now I'm wondering, okay, so that was one side of the chapter. What was Constance's side of the chapter looking like during that time? What was going on?
He had broke up with me, so I was living my life and dating who I was dating. And then he would like call me. So he called me around the time that each of his children were born because we were still cool. We still loved each other and were friends. So he was like, yo, Teresa's pregnant. I'm like, what? He like, yeah, man, she about to have a baby. I'm like, what? Then he called me like, man.
Okay, wait. Okay, wait.
in the hospital.
Hold on. So that was a lot. It was a little bit of a skim, and I get it. But what was your thoughts and your feelings in that time? When he
I
made
was
that call?
shocked because I didn't take him for. Now, granted, at this point, Anthony he left me when he was 16. So by this time, he's probably like 19, 20.
Okay.
And so
That's a little time.
yeah, we had some time apart, and by this time, I had resolved.
Time with access.
Yeah, but Constance was always the plan.
To him.
To me.
But from my perspective, I had released
you were
him.
an unexpressed plan.
He was like, you're always gonna be, I'm gonna marry you or whatever. But in my mind, I'm just like,
I was dead serious.
He sounded like a hip hop song. He sounded like a Ja Rule song.
Boy, you're out there whoring. Like, go do you. So I just like, I love you enough to whatever makes you happy. Yeah, that's where I was in my head. So when he told me, I was shocked, but I can't say like I was heartbroken or anything like that. I was just shocked. Like, oh my God, you're about to be a dad.
Wow.
And so we went through all of that, and
my call wasn't more so informing. My call was more so checking the temperature. Like,
I messed up.
I messed up. We still good?
Right.
Because I can't do this without knowing I can come here. And
I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
I knew it.
I didn't know that's what that was. I've
always known it.
I've
always known it. That's
it's so
the truth.
funny how you have two different stories. Yeah, happening at the same
it's a real
time.
conversation.
Yeah.
But so anyway, he called me on the first one. Then maybe 18 months or so later, he called me on the second one, and I was like,
"So you dropping babies and checking in?"
Well, I'm dropping babies, but not only am I dropping babies, she would still come over and come help me with the babies.
That was after the second one. Yeah, after the first.
No. Yeah.
After he had baby number 2, that's when we started to just like kind of reconnect. So now he's getting older, and I'm getting old. I'm out of school by now, so now we're thinking a little differently because we're transitioning into adulthood. So he was like,
that's loaded, guys.
He was a dude. He was a street ninja. And so he's like, I don't know what I'm doing with these kids. I'm like, oh, okay, I'll come over. You know what I mean? I love you. So I'm going to come over and help. The baby is crying. Our second son, Answer, was colicky. So
very colicky.
He's on weed. He's smoking weed. The baby's crying. He got people in the house. It was just he was just like, I don't know what I'm doing. And so I just came in just to kind of help out. And then from there, we started kind of rekindling, I guess.
So, and I guess this may be a little bit, it's not off topic, but because I'm thinking now, because I'm hearing that, and I'm thinking from a father's perspective, as a parent's perspective, like what would I feel or how would I cope with my daughter entering into a situation like that? So what was your family dynamic as far as you coming into a situation like that where there's ready-made kids?
Her mama wasn't with it.
A guy who's trash, I guess.
Mama J wasn't with it.
Like what was that? What was that dynamic?
At all.
I think my mom and my dad had two different perspectives. Right. My mom was not with it. Of course, she's looking at it like, Constance, you too young for that. My dad, he taught me blended family.
For sure.
So his perspective was way different.
What does that mean? He taught you blended family?
Because we have a blended family. Like our family is a blended family, meaning he took on my mother's children. So his perspective is always going to be a little different because he will be looking at it from his perspective, like, I did this. You know what I'm saying? And I watched him do it. So, and at this time, we weren't even together yet. I was just kind of helping him out. But mom definitely wasn't with it. But dad was just like, I'm like, yeah, Anthony got kids. They've known Anthony since he was a kid. Right. So it was just like, oh my God, he got 2 kids. What's going on? And all the drama that was behind that. It's just, so they were responding to that. But overall, I think my dad was more cool. My mom was just more like, watch yourself, girl.
Right.
How close were your parents to him? I know they watched him kind of grow up, or they knew him since he was young, but how close in proximity were y'all as far as parents and kids?
Me and Mr. Jones had a very good relationship.
Oh, yeah.
Very, very good relationship. It was more than I was dating his daughter, because even when I wasn't, he was there.
Yeah, and he was cool with my brother too. Right. So even when I wasn't in the picture,
there was interaction.
Yeah,
for sure.
we was all one big family.
Yeah,
kind of, sorta.
Yeah.
So
it was always love.
Yeah.
That's good.
But yeah, coming into parenthood was interesting from that aspect. So when I heard you talking about it, just how you on a Tuesday, you was like,
Constance, I didn't know we related in that way, because you feel me when I say that. It's not a lot of people that I've met personally who was like, you know what, I feel that. Like literally on a Tuesday it was this, on a Wednesday it was this.
Legit.
And like here I am, like for real, looking at this kid.
That part.
Yeah.
I was a high school graduate trying to figure out what to do with my life. I knew I didn't want to go to college. I was that, and then I was reconnecting with my childhood love, and we made a decision to get married. And I was moving into his townhouse with a whole system. A whole system. Like, he got him on the weekends. He had a whole situation. So I had to come in and be like, okay, where do I see myself in this situation? Like, how do I place myself? And
it wasn't a smooth transition. I think we had expectations. I had expectations. She had expectations.
Oh, definitely.
What were your expectations of her coming in that way?
She was going to help me with an already existing system. So it's like, okay, well, now that I have a wife, and here's how I pay bills, here's how I do this, this is due on this date, this is due on that date, you know? So it's like, you know, I already had furniture, she came into a already moving situation.
I came from my parents' house
to an already moving situation. So when she moved in, and it was like, all right, so we had the first talk, you know, and, you know, we got married fairly quickly. We went to the courthouse. It wasn't a wedding type of deal. We've discussed it. We've discussed that. I'm not to
check the viral video about
it. But, you know, I'm like, okay, so you're gonna pay bills. Here's how much I make. Here's how much you make. We could do this 50-50, boom, boom, boom. Let's do it on this date. Here's the passwords to all my accounts and different things like that. Boom. And it started, she came from her parents' house. So it's not something, you know, she probably had like a cell phone bill and a insurance maybe that she would pay her parents. You know what I'm saying?
And I pay the water bill.
And the water bill that she would pay her parents, and then her parents would actually pay the actual bill. So I'm expecting for her to know these things. And it was like, she's where I was when I first moved into my first apartment.
Why would you expect her to know that though?
I don't know. I was high.
Okay.
I just figured, I'm married.
Sure.
You know how to.
Sure.
No. And I'll give it. This is what my thinking was. It wasn't that I was high. I was high, very high, all the time. However, Constance has always been highly intelligent to me. So what I thought was, man, I've been doing this I moved out when I was 17, 18, 19, 20, for the past 4 or 5 years, you know, should be pretty easy for her. Plus, I'm here if she has questions. But, you know, it became a lot. We hit the ground running with 2 kids. We hit the ground running with, okay, we getting them on the weekends, and then that swiftly grew to we're getting them more than just on the weekends.
And I was navigating becoming an instant mom. I was navigating going from a young adult figuring life out to I have chosen my life. You know what I'm saying? Wow. And I'm inserted into a system. And then on top of that, like, I'm getting my bearings. So like, I'm a mom. What does that look like to me? I didn't even give that a thought, because my whole thing was, I know I love you. You know what I'm saying? So because I know I love you, this should be easy in my mind as a 20-year-old.
So you asked an interesting question. You said, I'm a mom. What does that look like?
Never asked it.
Because I'm thinking like, now I'm like, I'm a dad. Did I ask myself, what does that look like? It's interesting. Yeah. I think, you know, I don't know. I came in and I just kind of felt like, okay, well, if something go wrong, kill ants with sledgehammers. Meaning squash it immediately. You know what I'm saying? That's very interesting. And I think I need to think about how did I really process coming in and becoming an instant dad. Because you said an instant mom.
Instant mom.
Like you said something major, like instant mom, like your mom, what does that look like? I came in as an instant dad. Did I really think about what that looked like? Or I don't know. I'm blessed to have had a father who did an amazing job raising me in a way
Same.
as a young person.
Same.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so, and that leads me to a question for you. Like, you were a single mother.
I definitely did not think about that being my first time being a parent. I didn't think I'd be a single parent.
Yeah.
For sure. I definitely know I would have been married. I would have been married to him. And it was funny when you said you were calling to check the temperature, you know, because we weren't together.
Right.
You know what I mean? But because he was always in my mind, like, I didn't never move on in life because I was like,
It's got to be with him.
right. I was like, dang, if I can't get serious with nobody because what if he come back around? Then, you know what I mean? I'm gonna have to drop everything and stuff. Like, that's literally within my mind, like, for real. So when I did get pregnant, I was freaking out.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because I was like, oh no.
You was thinking more about him.
I was thinking
Same here.
me being pregnant.
Same here.
It was crazy.
Same here.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that was highly emotional for me. Like, on a level, first of all, it was a level of just high emotion because it interrupted my life and my trajectory. I had a plan.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
You
Like,
were in
I was in grad school. I was on a 5-year scholarship. In 5 years, I would have had my doctorate. You know what I'm saying? I was going to study obstetrician gynecology. Like,
Wow.
I literally was on a full ride. Like, this school was like, I had my interview. They took a chance on me because I didn't have the GPA to get into school, but they interviewed me anyway. And it was like, man, it's something about you. We just feel like, you know what I mean? So I'm devastated at that because I'm, my God.
Good,
you know what I mean? Man. I felt like, dang, I'm letting them down. Then I was like, I'm gonna get an abortion. So that was in my head because I was like, yo, I can't do this. Like, I'm in another, I'm far away from I'm like 3-4 hours away from my family.
Right.
But at that age, that's a lifetime away.
Right. I felt like, who's gonna help me? You know what I mean? Like, it was crazy. And then I had called, I set the appointment, everything. I had an appointment on the calendar when I was gonna do this abortion.
Wow. I
called my older sister, who's no longer here, rest in peace. I called her and told her the situation. She said, don't do it. And I was like, what? What you mean? She's like, don't do it. You'll regret it. You'll regret it.
Wow.
It'll ruin you. That's what she said. It'll ruin your life if you do it. And I'm thinking like, but keeping it will ruin my life. You know? Right. So I'm like, what? No. So the moment that I decided to keep it, I thought about him.
That's powerful.
And I said, oh, this is not good.
Wow.
Like, for real. And I think I had my stepsister, Destiny, at the time, was kind of like my
liaison.
She was like my liaison.
So she was sending all the messages.
She checked the temperature
For you.
for me. You know what I'm saying?
I ain't had that.
And you know what I mean? Like, I guess when he talked to her, or she sent him a message or something like that, and then she reported back. You know what I mean? Like what he said. You know what I mean? How
was he?
Yeah, she said that he was like, oh man, you know what I'm saying? Congratulations.
So
tell her congratulations.
That was my reaction because I was in a situation.
Oh.
I was in a situation to where I felt like, this is just what it is. And so congratulations.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, so when I got a congratulation, I was like, huh. All right. You know what I mean? That made me feel like,
okay, maybe he's okay.
Okay, like maybe he's cool, with it or whatever. But it's still like, I still just was like, I can't believe it. I can't believe this is so odd. Woo. So yeah, that's like that was like
that's real.
I did not think I would be a single parent. Like, I did not. It was so hard.
And then Joanne hit you with a rhema word.
Yeah, she said, "Don't do it,"
which was
it'll
very
ruin you.
rhema.
Come on, man, that was God talking to
She said, "I regret it." She said, like, sometimes people when they do have abortions, sometimes they can't have children afterwards. If something goes wrong, So she was like telling me all those things. I was like, oh dang,
Jesus,
because I didn't really know. You know what I'm saying? I'm just like, get an abortion, And she was like, nah, don't do it.
Wow.
Yeah.
So let me ask, I guess, another level of, this parenthood thing concerning you. Just the fact that when I did come and I became a father, like, where were you then? Like, on that Tuesday to that Wednesday, where were you on Thursday?
Oh, man, on Thursday.
What was Thursday for you?
I would say it was really, I always had this pit this feeling in my stomach concerning it. I always felt I wanted it to go right. I wanted it to be perfect. I didn't want it to feel hard for you. You know what I'm saying? Like, so that would be in the back of my mind, like, dang, you know, like if he was, you know, doing a lot or, you know, or if it was, even him having to stay with you for all those, you know, cause I'm at the studio for long periods of time. I'm like, dang, this can't be good. You know what I mean? Cause I'm like, he practically, you know, like, it's literally his first time, like being a dad. I'm like, what if he doesn't do it right?
What if he doesn't like him?
You know, so I'm thinking like all those things. So that I was always kind of a little bit on edge. I know even just the earlier years, I would give him a lot of flack when it came to like the discipline aspect of things. You know, I'd be like, oh, does it have to be like that? You know what I mean? Like there's certain things, since I just kind of always felt like this. I know he loves me.
Yeah. You
know what I mean? And I'm like, I know we're a package deal.
Yeah.
But he's literally just meeting this kid. Yeah. You know what I mean? And that was always constantly
That's a heck of a package
head.
deal.
Yeah, it
is. You relate to that. That's a heck of a package deal.
I'm about to toss it to Anthony, because when you said, I know he loves me, but the question is like, does he love my kid the way he loves me? Was
that was
so
kind of how I felt.
I wanna kick it to Anthony, because going back to me jumping into the system. So when I came in, I came from a father who was a preacher and in the military, and he was my blueprint in terms of how to be a parent. And then my mom, she of course helped me with like the nurturing side, how to create like systems within the household. So my mom really helped me with that. But in terms of the blending part, my dad helped me, but he was a disciplinarian. So I came in being a disciplinarian, and that didn't go over well with Anthony either. So I'm just wondering, did you ever feel like that for me? Like,
feel
me? Like, I know she loves me, but I don't know if she really loved my kids like that.
No.
Okay.
That never once crossed my mind, because I knew you. And if you know my wife, she's the epitome of love and care and nurture. If I was to have an issue with anything, it was, I'm already the discipline. You said where you came from. Your father was a preacher. He was a military man. Well, I come from a very tough family on both sides. So with my biological father being locked up 3 days before I was born, my mother was fixated on making sure I didn't come out gay.
Right.
So there was no affection, because she never received affection. And because she never received affection, she didn't know how to give affection. So our moments were very hands-on, very quick crying, do what I tell you to do, hurry up now, boom, you know what I'm saying? That was it. So it was like, the issue I had was, babe, I'm the tough one. You can't be the tough one too. You know what I'm saying? Because then it's like my kids won't want to come over here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that was a big deal, because my baby mama's family are they're real big on family, and they're highly opinionated. So when you have to deal with 12 different opinions in the same house at the same time, it could turn into like a gang war sometimes. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense? So, you know, in the mind frame of just trying to keep the peace, what I would do is I would put the kids above my wife. And that had to change. I think that lasted for maybe 2-3 years.
Yeah.
2-3 years. And then, you know, it was just a lot. You got to realize, when we got married, I had just beat 22 year to life charges. So I'm dealing with the kids plus a 5-year probation. That was felony probation. That was highly intrusive, and it was a lot.
So I'm wondering, that's a lot.
I know, I'm just going back like.
So now I'm wondering, because, you know, she was asking, did you consider the fact did you consider the package deal? How were you thinking as far as her loving your kids, as far as being a package to you? But so if that wasn't a consideration, because you said that wasn't a consideration because you know her, what were the considerations concerning her coming in? And like, what did you really consider, if anything, at that age?
At that age, Constance made me feel like I can do anything. I could do anything because she's here. Right? I was still in my mind trying to get over this get it how you live mentality. There was a lot of robbing. There was a lot of drug dealing. There was a lot of quick fix, quick scheme things happening. And, I just felt like as long as I got her, everything gonna be all right because she's the good in me.
Okay.
So literally,
so she
was the highest expression of Christ to me. At that time. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Don't fall for that, Constance.
He's told me that all the time. I was just hearing it.
You just melted all over.
It's the truth. No. I
get that.
No, man, because when I think about it, bro.
He told me that all the time.
No, but real spill. When I think about it, it's like in those moments, we didn't know what we would be today.
For sure.
We didn't know what we would be doing today. Yeah. So you're talking about the before and the after. The after is, man, God has been so faithful to me and my family, to me. When I think back in those times, and I guess just verbalizing it just brings up a lot of emotions for me.
Yeah, for sure.
Because it's like, man, it was a lot going on. It was a lot going on, bro.
We were I was 20. I got married at 20.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like my baby boy is 20 right now.
I'm
about to go into the Air Force and I'm thinking I was dealing with all of these life-altering decisions at 20.
Okay, so that's a lot because you literally just said, because of course we looking at Woogie.
Right.
As you're saying, like
he's 20. He just turned 20.
You were 20 years old.
So 6 months into me moving into this system, right? I got pregnant with Shane.
Wow.
I got pregnant with Shane, and so, like, I'm trying to appease my husband that I've loved since we were kids. And I'm thinking, this is not what I imagined. So you talk about before kids and after kids. Kids.
While me dealing with a major
drug, which is another reason why, and I think I mentioned this in a few podcasts ago, that I was only challenged to be so strong and disciplinarian like because he was in the street. So it's like I watched my mom be like, wait till your dad get home. Oh, y'all gonna get it when your dad get home. And I vowed to myself, the type of parent I will be is the one that doesn't have to wait until my husband gets home.
Wow.
And I wasn't bad, but but my brothers, it was like 5-6 of us in a house at once. And so my mom be like, oh, y'all sit down, you wait till your dad get home. And that marked me. And so when I come into a situation, I'm just like, yeah, it's not gonna be wait till your dad no, I'm here now.
Wow, that's good.
You're going to respect me now.
Wow.
Because I don't know what time he coming home. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not going to be in chaos until he gets home. So that was something else that was going through my 20-year-old mind. Yeah. In addition to all of the things. And so just thinking back, man, it's like, man, there was a lot of life to process. And before I became a parent, I thought parenting was going to be so cool and so easy because in my mind, it was going to be with him and we had already kind of planned. Yeah. And I knew him so well. So I'm just like, this is going to be we're going to be cool. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? We're going to be like cool parents and we're going to have fun. And he's a clown. He makes me laugh. I'm like, the kids are going to be laughing. You know what I'm saying? So these are all of the things that's going on in my mind.
Women think about. Right. The kids are going to be laughing.
rolling, and like we're gonna be cool. We're gonna dress them real nice. Like these are all of the in my immature mind.
But y'all dressed them
We
nice
did.
forever.
We did.
Like,
That was Anthony.
I couldn't
just
wait
kept
till
clean.
it was a short period of time where I knew their shoe size would be my shoe size, and I knew at that moment I was like, yes, I'm going to inherit some things. It was such a small window because they was like.
Right.
But no, that's good, man.
But yeah, so after we became parents, it was the shock of this is not what I imagined. But man, one thing being a parent taught me was what's inside. You know what I'm saying? Like I always felt like I was a pretty strong person just because of my upbringing. But man, parenthood tapped into a level of strength that I did not know I had. I'm talking a supernatural power. Like I legit, me and God was like this when I became a parent, and that's been the foundation because we hit the ground running. And it's been like that ever since. And so that really showed me like, girl, you got more in you than you think.
For sure.
You know?
And it gives me hope for my adult children.
Yeah.
No, for sure.
Because they're 23, 21, 20, and 18 now.
Yeah.
So it's like what I got from this conversation even is stop thinking about when you was 20 and when you was 18 and when you was 23. That's not their story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The same way I got you up out of that situation, the same way you changed, trust me, God, with them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love them more than you do.
It's all good.
It's all good. So
Man.
Wow.
I'm glad we talked about this, man.
Yeah.
That was great,
Straight
guys.
up.
That was great. And we're not going to drag it no more, but I think there are a few things that I even want to consider with myself, I guess reflecting on, like when you talked about what parenting brought out of you. I think there's some things that specifically I want to look back and kind of think about what did me becoming a father the way I did, where were the places that I guess marked me? Where was the place I accepted, no, I'm a father?
Yeah.
Where was the place I accepted, like, no, this is where responsibility kicked in. This
You
is
helped
the
me.
place.
I would watch you with like the Zeal Club and different things like that, and it would spark.
Wow.
I think me and your relationship has always been an iron sharpens iron
For sure.
type of relationship.
For sure.
So when you didn't think I was watching, I may not have said nothing, but I adjusted in my behavior and in my execution with my own based off of what. So who you hang around is
That's major, bro.
excruciatingly important.
Yeah. It's been iron sharpens iron.
You know what I mean?
And I would say, I've watched him adjust
Yeah.
along the way, which I think speaks volumes, even just for parents to take note of, is that as your kids are growing, as they're getting older, there are certain things you'll notice about them, their personality types, how they deal with pressure, how they deal with stress, how they deal with consequences of their actions,
Right.
like the disciplinary, what discipline is appropriate for this child.
For sure.
Yeah.
This one is not like this child. And I think he's made so many major adjustments, like with our son, that really like just it's so big just in our family and how we view them. Like we see them as individuals.
Right.
Yeah.
Like we see them as adults right now. Who are you going to become based on how well I have trained you or parented you?
Right.
Yeah.
So his level of adjustment has been so key in our family, because he's like hearing from God, that's not it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's like, it's this. You know what I mean? And then maybe 2 years go by. It's not this anymore. It's this.
Yeah.
Because
It
they're
changes.
growing, they're evolving, they're changing. How they're dealing with things, their adolescence, their middle school, high school, they're becoming adults.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So we have to adjust. And it's like we've been learning that even with our daughters now, that they're different from our son. And we're like, ooh, adjust. You know what I mean? But
That's a lot of adjusting.
It's a
right,
lot
but
of
being
adjusting.
but him setting the foundation for those adjustments,
Yeah.
it's helping us so much with our girls, because they are different from him.
Yeah.
And we do have to we do have to parent them differently as such. You know what I mean? So us looking at certain things and saying like, they're not even alike. Okay.
Yeah.
Adjust. You know what I mean? Okay. She's going to be this. And this, like I told Raylan the other day, I told her, I said, you're responsible for how you agitate your sister.
Yeah.
It's your responsibility to make sure you don't push her buttons because she can be hot. She can go from 0 to 100
Just like that.
really fast, and she'll be spazzing because she's trying to learn. She's trying to figure. I said she's trying to figure out
Right.
her emotions. Like, dang, should I swing? Should I go in my room?
Right,
Should I be quiet? Should I play music?
Should I tell?
Should I sing? Should I tell? Should I cry? I don't know. It's a lot, you know?
Yeah.
But just that level, when I had that conversation with her, she was like, okay.
Responsibility.
You know what I
But
mean?
she
I'm
got
like, you're 3 years older than her.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Y'all not the same age.
Right.
You don't even deal with the same things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So me telling her that, she was like, okay.
Do you remember getting conversations like that?
Me?
Yeah.
Never.
So you broke the curse. You broke not the curse, but
Sure
you broke
did.
the cycle.
The cycle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Broke the cycle.
Further faster.
Yeah.
And I think you really, what you just did, like we've been talking about the before, and I think you just really summed up the after. What parenthood
Exactly.
looks like, what we expected before,
Yeah.
and then what it is after, because it's a
Yeah.
whole different journey.
Woo.
And it's a whole different adjustment and learning process.
Keon taught y'all.
No,
He
for
did.
sure. And the thing is,
We really
because the thing is, we talked about how, and we're gonna wrap up, but we talked about how one, we were certain parents to Keon because one, we were learning how to be parents
Absolutely.
with Keon,
Right.
and then we were different people in life.
I grew up together. Yeah.
And then when Raylan comes, we've matured, we've grown, we live a different life. We're not throwing car washes to pay an electric bill now. Like, we're different people.
Right.
So Raylan gets a different version
Yeah.
of parenthood from us.
Yeah.
Taylor, it's perpetual.
Yeah.
The parents that she has is even different from what Raylan had when she started.
Perspectives are different.
Life changes.
Every
people.
child gets a different
Everybody
version.
gets a different
Everybody
version.
gets a different
So,
version.
you know, it's funny because, and that's how an older son would be like, I would have never been able to get away with that.
That's
Right.
Junior.
Yeah. You, of
That's
course,
Junior.
you
They be
wouldn't
like, what are you
have.
talking about?
You
You
wouldn't.
wouldn't have been able to get away with that. One, I'm not the same man.
I was
I'm
high as a
not the
kite.
same woman.
We're not
I'm
even in the same
we're-
scenario.
We're not in the same
Not even
scenario.
the same.
We're not the same people.
Yeah.
We've grown together in relationship. We've grown spiritually.
Yeah.
We've grown physically. We've grown mentally. You know what I'm saying? Like, everything's different. So
Yeah.
it's a different thing, man. And that's where now we can laugh about it because we understand that. And Keon is like, Keon is like, I would have never been able to do that or do this. And but one thing I was like, yeah, son, you wouldn't have. Maybe we should tighten up a little bit. But anyway, there's seasons for it all.
Yes, because of the things
We gonna
that
revisit.
we can revisit.
Yes, I think one time I had to discipline Taylor for something. He was like, "Yes, finally. She out of control."
No. When he was home and laughed at me as a father,
Like you saw?
because I said, Taylor, stop. And she literally, as soon as I
Kept
said
going.
stop, she did it 3 more times. And he looked at me like this. And I was like,
It's soft.
but that's that whole parent versus grandparent thing.
Yes.
Everybody involved. Listen, man, it's been another amazing episode, guys.
Yes.
We've gone forever with this.
Be patient with your process.
Be patient with the process.
Adjust.
And
Yeah.
remember, your kids are not you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So when you're parenting them, remember they're not you. They came from you, but they are not
They are
you.
Yes.
not
And
Quit-
parent them
quit
like
trying
they're
to-
gonna.
Go ahead.
So parent them like they're adults.
Right.
See them as adults.
That part.
See them how they're gonna present in the world. That's how you.
Wow.
That's how you guide and shape.
Yeah.
Quit trying to parent little yous.
Yes.
That part.
Yes.
Stop doing that. They ain't you.
They
Not.
So
Y'all got a lot
Nowhere
of great
close.
catchphrases at the end.
I know.
I'm not there. Do I have a catchphrase? Y'all with hell. Y'all with hell. Golly, y'all smart. Y'all with
it's like God is good, man.
hell. Y'all fool, boy. Hey, man, it's been another amazing episode of
Yes.
FBC, man. We appreciate you rocking with us, becoming a part of our family as we grow, as we mature,
Yes.
as we remain transparent, man. It's been another great episode, guys.
Peace.